Bitcoin topped new all-time highs yesterday at about $126,000. However, it is still not out of the woods yet because I am still talking about this bearish pattern that I've been talking about for quite some time now, okay? It is not until we actually break out of this bearish pattern to the upside that I would say that we are out of the woods. However, I think if we actually do break out of this bearish pattern here, there's going to be a significant move upwards. Partially, well, a lot of it could be due to short seller liquidations because bears or short sellers are defending this pattern right now, and understandably so because they see this as a top, right? And there is bearish divergence on quite a bit of these time frames, including the weekly time frame. However, during major breakouts, like back in even last year, November, December of last year, on the weekly time frame, bearish divergence has been invalidated. December 2020, October 2017, those are also some major time frame divergence signals that have been invalidated by major breakouts. Why should you guys learn divergence? It's because it tells you that there's usually going to be a reversal, and in this case, would be a reversal to the downside. Now, I want to show you guys another chart here, okay, which tells me that retail is actually coming into the market, okay, and this is Google Trends for searching for Bitcoin, the term Bitcoin, and this is on the weekly. Okay, this updates. This is a data point every week, and we are seeing the search term for Bitcoin rising in the past couple of weeks. This tells me that retail is coming. Okay, if you actually go to look at this chart here, you guys can see that there's quite a bit of correlation with price action, right, in some of these periods. Of course, 2020, 2021, 2023, right, late 2023, last year. Okay, so this is definitely a chart to be paying attention to. And one of my theories is why these divergence signals get invalidated during major breakouts is because I think retail is responsible for these major breakouts. And retail doesn't really care about technical analysis, nor they really know about technical analysis, right? However, that works to an extent, right? Because that only, you will see some of these technical analysis indicators get invalidated, like divergence. They get invalidated up to an extent as long as retail keeps coming in, right? However, retail doesn't last forever, as you guys know, especially during the last dump back in November, December 2021. That was when retail buyers basically has stopped, right? Or that the bears actually won and retail's basically got dumped on. Okay. So that is an idea to be paying attention to, especially as this bull cycle goes on. I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here. We're going to be talking about some altcoins later in this video, which will include Veracity, which is VRA, DIA, and DIA is DIA. And then we're also going to be talking about BEAMX. Okay, see what's happening in these altcoin markets. What are their price targets, setups currently? So we're going to get more into that. We're going to get into some major crypto and economics news as well. So let's go ahead and dive into the news first. I'll give guys my instant reaction. This is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin still in up-only mode, but these are the key price levels to be watching for. Let's take a look into here. Okay, key takeaway. Bitcoin dropped to 122.5 on Tuesday, but on-chain data shows no sign of an overheated market. Yeah, I don't see overheated RSI on the daily time frame up, right? There is overheated RSI on the lower time frames, right? But on the higher time frames, I don't see it. So that is one thing to be at least not to be concerned about. All right, the resistance at 135K remains the main Bitcoin price barrier for now, with key support around 120. Okay. I think what I'm seeing as the key resistance is going to be about 130,000. That is basically the top trend line for this bearish pattern that I've been talking about, which is the rising wedge pattern. Next piece here is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin trader calls 124K pivotal as Bitcoin retraces from new all-time highs. Yeah, I didn't get too excited over that new all-time high about 126K yesterday. I think out of all the things I've learned from this not so straightforward bull cycle is to not get too excited too early. Because we've had plenty of fake outs during this bull cycle. It was not as straightforward as 2021, right? And it doesn't look like it's as straightforward as 2017 as well, from what I'm seeing in the data. All right, key points. Bitcoin takes stock as of its latest gains after reaching fresh new all-time highs above 126K. 124K emerges as the essential battleground for Bitcoin bulls. That was the previous all-time high set in August. Yeah, I think it's very important to be reclaiming that. Flows and overall institutional demand will be key for the bull run going forward, says analysts. Yes, but I do think it's also going to depend a lot on retail coming in as well. All right, next piece. It's by Crypto News. BNB hits second all-time highs this month, crosses $1,300 barrier, is $1,500 next. Well, for altcoins, I think most of these altcoins, if not all, are gonna pump unless their projects go under, right? Because I've been here since 2021 during the last bull cycle, and I don't think I found an altcoin that has not pumped, all right, to a certain extent. Of course, there are some that are gonna pump a lot harder than others, but I don't think I found one that has not pumped, that has been around since during January 2021 or before. If that coin came in about May or June or July when the dump started, during the dump, then it's that's I'm not talking about those. Those are a little bit more iffy, right? But I'm talking about the ones who has been around since January 2021 or before. I think I've seen all of them, if not most, if not all of them, pumped. Okay. Now, I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here, so my opinions on this market is bullish. But like the entirety of this video, these are just my opinions and not financial advice. You guys gotta form your own opinions and strategies. All right, next piece here is by Dow Jones Newswire. U.S. stocks drop. Gold tops $4,000. This is by the Wall Street Journal. Yeah, it's also important to be paying attention to stocks as well, especially during times when Bitcoin is not looking as certain because they have a pretty high correlation. And what I am seeing here is also that there's also bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, and I think on the lower time frames as well, even on the monthly. Okay, so something to be paying attention to because divergence is a pretty reliable indicator. Now let's take a look into Bitcoin. All right, let's see what some retracement levels are for Bitcoin. Okay, now I talked about on the shorter time frames. Why is Bitcoin important, by the way, is because it is the driver of this crypto market. I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin, because that could really wreck your trades. Especially if you see altcoin setups that look good, but if Bitcoin setup does not look good, that could very much ruin your altcoin setups. Now, this is Bitcoin, okay? It is on the 6-hour 21 SMA. It is closing in about 45 minutes. If Bitcoin actually breaks through and close below this moving average, the next key support I could be looking at could be the 12-hour 21 SMA, which is coming up quickly, but currently it is at about 118.5K. Okay, so there could be more downside for Bitcoin. Okay, if we don't bounce from here. Let's take a look into let's take a look into total 3, which is also a chart to be watching out for, because this is the chart of all altcoins excluding Ethereum, and it is still trying to break out of this cup and handle pattern. This is the weekly time frame, and cup and handles are bullish patterns that usually break to the upside. Always got to mind the downside risk, because we're all talking about probabilities here. Now, if this thing, this thing's already trying to break out here, right? It's going to take some time. And if this thing breaks out and pulls away from this $1.15 trillion resistance, right? We're already there. So let's see how long it takes to break away from this, right? The price target for total 3 out of this pattern is going to be about 2 trillion. That's going to do some significant moves for some of these smaller cap altcoins. Let's go ahead and take a look into altcoins. Some altcoin setups we're going to be taking a look into. We're going to be taking a look into VRA. Okay, what is happening with Veracity? What is happening with Veracity here? Weekly time frame, falling wedge pattern, weekly time frame. There's a few patterns going on here. So it broke out back on the week of back in August. Okay, price target for this pattern, for this breakout here, is going to be about 1.5 cents, which is almost a 10x for VRA. Okay, so from within the pattern, there was also a double bottom pattern with the price target of about 0.75 cents. Okay, now since the breakout here, it has also formed a smaller falling wedge pattern that you guys should be paying attention to. It's going to get pretty tight in here for VRA. Price target for this breakout here is still within that smaller falling wedge pattern here. Falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside. Now, if this thing breaks to the upside, price target would be about 0.16 cents price target, which is still pretty significant right now. Now, price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. A lot of it is going to depend on what happens with Bitcoin. Just because you get a breakout does not mean 100% you're going to get to that price target. I've seen price action. I've seen price action that breaks through its price target during very bullish times, mainly, or the ones that break out but does not even that just flops before its price targets. Okay, so some things to be paying attention to and considering, especially if you're trading breakouts. Now, falling wedges also have a smaller chance of breaking to the downside as well. For you guys who are new to this market, probability is the game in here. Nothing's for certain. Let's go ahead and go to DIA. See what's happening with DIA. Now, I talked about a few patterns here with DIA that has been invalidated since the last time I've talked about it. So I've taken away those trend lines. And what I'm seeing for this market here is, let's zoom in a little bit. 3-day time frame. This is a falling wedge pattern. Learn to chart your falling wedge patterns. It's going to give you a huge edge on this market. Price target for this falling wedge pattern, if it breaks out by this point, for example, price target would be about above $1 for DIA. Okay, now let's see if DIA can actually meet that price target before talking about what's next. But I think that's enough of an update for DIA for now. Let's go ahead and go to BEAMX and see what's happening with this market here. Now, something wonderful about technical analysis is that it works. I've put up this chart quite some time ago. I talked about this possible cup and handle scenario. This is basically a formed cup and handle scenario here. Perfect, beautiful cup and handle. Now, cup and handles are important patterns to be paying attention to because it is a bullish pattern, okay? Now, if that usually breaks the upside, okay? Now, price target for this smaller cup and handle pattern here that has been formed, price target would be about 1.6 cents almost for BEAMX. Now, if you guys are interested in learning how to set price targets, it isn't just me setting it, okay? It is by textbook, okay? You guys can go to Google. You can go to Google. You can go to ChatGPT, Grok, ask how to set price targets for falling wedges, cup and handles. This is common knowledge. Learn it. It's going to give you a huge edge in this market, as it did for me since the last bull cycle. Okay, since prepping for the last bull cycle. Okay, otherwise I think I would have lost money right during the last bull cycle because I wouldn't know how to read overbought and bearish patterns. Okay, and this is basically um, this price target is gonna be about 1.6 cents if it breaks out. Resistance for this cup and handle is going to be about 1 cent for BEAMX. So almost there. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame, get some more clarity on what BEAMX could be doing, right? It could be, I mean, right now, let's see here. This could be a very important for BEAMX to break out of this upward trend line here. This is the 4-hour time frame because why? Because if you don't, you could be seeing some type of a rising wedge pattern forming, okay? That could look something like this, and that is usually a signal for a breakdown. So very important for BEAMX to break out of this upward trend line. If not, it could form a rising wedge pattern. Alright, this is basically it for this video. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing any more of Veracity, DIA, BEAMX by dropping a like, comment, subscribe, or any other coins in this market. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis, and I'll see you on the next one.